Welcome to the latest edition of Walter's World, the podcast series from Astadia. As hopefully all of you know, this podcast series is dedicated to new and interesting trends for people who are interested in mainframe migration and modernization. Today, I am delighted to have with me Richard Baird, who is the VP and CTO for Core Enterprise and zCloud for Kyndryl. Richard, welcome to the podcast.
Walter, thank you very much for the invite, and good to be here.
It's always good to get to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time today.
Pleasure.
Richard, could you share with our team members and audience what your background is and what your role at Kyndryl is?
So, as you said, I'm the global CTO for anything in Kyndryl to do with the IBM Z, depending on which part of the planet you're from, and IBM I. And I'm responsible for technical direction, be it futures, be it any technical issues that deep technical issues that we have in our delivery capabilities, and also maintaining the technical relationships with companies like Astadia. Before this, obviously, Kyndryl was part of IBM, and I had a long career in IBM, a lot of it in IBM Software Group, where I owned such things as KICS product development, COBOL and PL1 product development, some of the application development environments. So a long history in Z and I, and also owning WebSphere application server and Java development, so multi-platform as well.
Long tenure and a most interesting background indeed.
It's why you and I both have, this nice shade of hair.
For those of us who have hair.
Yeah.
Richard, I'd be interested to know, and I'm sure the audience would, you mentioned, having been a part of IBM, what's the transition to Kyndryl being an independent company been like? Has it been what you expected or something completely different?
It's a great question. When Kyndryl spun out from IBM back in November of 21, we were a 90,000 strong startup on launch day. So, when we spun, we became the world's largest IT infrastructure services provider, because Kyndryl provides not only the mainframe services, but it literally does everything from mobile to mainframe, network storage, and all the other things that you would expect from a services provider. And we've gone through that transition to being an independent standalone company. We've focused on three initiatives around advanced delivery, accounts. Clearly we have a large number of accounts, being the largest provider here, and also alliances with companies like Astadia. And we have been proactively working on all of those over the last 18 months, and becoming independent has really given us the freedom to operate and partner with who we think we need to in order to make sure that our customers are successful. It enables us to address the full spectrum of mainframe customer needs and deliver even more comprehensive services and business value than we could previously. And new news, relatively hot off the press, certainly in the last week. For a startup that started in November 21, we have evolved from being that startup company to landing as number 225 on the Fortune 500 2023
Wow.
list. So that's a good place to be. And equally, we're really excited that we've been recognized as one of Newsweek's 100 most loved workspaces or workplaces in 2023. So I think as a startup, those two things, not only from a financial stability, financial recognition on the Fortune 500, but also from a people standpoint, to be recognized as one of the 100 most loved workplaces for employees, that's a testament to what we've been able to do since spinning out.
Absolutely. Congratulations on both of those amazing accomplishments. That's truly impressive.
Yeah, we think so too. and equally, it's down to the 90,000 people that pulled it off as well. So all good all round.
Good deal. Richard, you mentioned something a second ago about our partnership and your approach, and it's one that we at Astadia share, I think. I view us both as being both very customer-centric companies, and we recognize that each customer's mainframe modernization challenges and needs are unique. I'd be interested to know, what are you hearing from your customers as the main challenges they're dealing with? And just as importantly, what are the most important needs as they start their mainframe modernization journey?
So, for most mainframe customers, the mainframe stays at the core of their business. And they have that intention that the mainframe is going to continue to play a role for some years ahead. Whether it's as deep a role that it's played up until now, that's going to unfold over time. But they still see it playing a role to some degree for many of them, looking after their most mission critical applications and data. And all of that as part of their digital transformation journey that they do, along with the hyperscalers that they may be partnered with. We see them partnering with Azure, with AWS, and with Google, either a one-on-one relationship, or they have a multi-hyperscaler relationship. And in all of those, the mainframe continues to be, what do we do with it, right? How do the applications and data that we have, how do we manage that digital transformation for the applications into this new world? So it's like the next generation. The other thing, as they do that digital transformation and drive innovation, enhance their own customer experiences, and even down to the extent of enhancing their employee productivity, maybe through changes in the way they do application development. They get more agile as a result of doing it. They tend to focus on all of those. But the other thing, customers aim to manage their costs and drive more value out of the IT investments that they make. Every single company, doesn't matter who you talk to, which part of the planet, at the end of the day, they've all got to effectively manage their costs and all look to drive more value from their IT investments. And so it's a combination of how do I get the right application and data, the right workload on the right platform? How do I do it in such a way that is cost effective to my business? But the number one thing that drives all of it is, how do I do it so that I drive a better customer experience for my own customers that my IT is providing support for? And in the midst of that, they're also having to transform their own organizations, because often they don't have the skills and the expertise to do so, with the teams that they've had for the last 10, 15, 20 plus years. Because, Walter, as you and I both know, we've both been in this industry a long time. Technology is constantly changing, and we're always looking for skills. So from a Kyndryl standpoint, it's not just about the practice that I represent here. It's Kyndryl in general, right? It's all of Kyndryl come to play here, along with partners like Astadia, to help the customers tackle those challenges that I've just outlined. And mainframe transformation and application modernization is probably one of the toughest problems that they get to tackle. But as I said, with partners like Astadia, the forces and skills that we've got available in Kyndryl, I think we can probably tackle them.
Great, thank you. I'm glad that you mentioned that, and I know you have these relationships with other companies as well, but I know here at Astadia, we cherish our relationship with Kyndryl because we think we have that common ground, and it's what you talked about before, that providing the broadest range of options, being able to give people different paths that they can follow is important. And I know as we work together, being able to talk to clients together, that has been a strong benefit that they have expressed. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, I mean, the combination of Kyndryl with Astadia, I think, brings the best of both worlds together. If you look at some of the industry analyst reports, could be ISG or Gartner or any of those. Certainly for ISG, you'll find that Astadia is a leader in the mainframe application modernization space, modernization software. And Kyndryl is the leader in mainframe modernization services. So if you put two leaders in the industry together, both that have a similar approach or a synergistic approach in terms of how they approach customers, how they deal with the challenges, you're going to get a really good experience. Kyndryl can benefit from the partnership by leveraging Astadia's extensive experience with application modernization, right? The tools and techniques that you've got. And similarly, Astadia can benefit from Kyndryl's deep experience in terms of managing and looking after a large number of these mainframe environments for 20, 30 plus years in many instances. So yeah, I think it's a good combination between the two.
I'd like to say that to me, it's a case where 1 and 1 equals 3. That
at least
yeah, exactly. We're able to offer clients a more comprehensive and complete solution for them, not just picking individual components that we do, but together we really provide them something that they can't just go find everywhere.
Yeah, and we both have extensive partner networks where we can bring other people in if necessary in order to address the stuff that we always find out there. I mean, as I said, we've both been here for too many years to know the customer turns around and says, "Oh, I've found this little thing that I've got in the corner here. The technology's been there for a long time. Do you know what to do with it?" We normally know somebody who does,
and
if we don't ourselves.
Absolutely. It astounds me how creative people have been over the years and what they have done. And in a similar manner, the fact that what they did 40 years ago still works amazingly well today, to the point that they even forget that it's there.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you and I talked to a customer and they said, "Oh, it's only a bit of COBOL and DB2, don't worry about it," right? And you go look at the code and you go, this COBOL looks suspiciously like assembler.
Exactly.
And the customer goes, well, yes, there might be some assembler in here as well. And the IMS, we told you it was all DB2, but there's probably some IMS DB in here as well. And hey, it's all out there, and we know what to do with it.
That's what makes it fun. Absolutely. Richard, you talked about the hyperscalers earlier. I'd be interested in knowing Kyndryl's approach to take when a customer is interested in hybrid or multi-cloud solutions. How do you tend to look at that?
So as I said at the beginning, one of the benefits of Kyndryl being standalone now is that we can be agnostic, right? So we have strong partnerships strong alliances, I should say, with all three of the main hyperscalers, so Microsoft, AWS, and Google. When we sit down with the customer, we take an approach of the right platform for the right workload, and we'll talk to them and say, well, do you know what you want to do? Because some of them will turn around and say, we want to do a lift and shift. We don't want to touch the COBOL. We just want to move the COBOL over. Some will turn around and say, we want to refactor. We want to go to Java or C#. And some will turn around and say, well, we've decided we're going to rewrite, or we're going to use an off-the-shelf package. So, what do we do with all the data and some of our unique stuff that we might need to keep when we move to using this new package? So the approach is very much one of an application and data workload one. We'll work with the customer and the hyperscaler or hyperscalers, because as I said, in some instances, the customer has a multi-hyperscaler strategy. We'll work with them to make sure that they limit the risk in what they're trying to do, make sure that, we advise them on the best way to approach the application placement. And then when the application has been moved, Kyndryl can manage the application and the infrastructure wherever they've landed it, even if they move it to their own existing private cloud, that they may have on premise. Kyndryl's got the depth and breadth of experience here to be able to manage any of the target landing zones that a customer may have for that application and data. So it's not just a question of us saying, oh, you're off the mainframe, we're not interested, right? No, we will manage the life cycle here. Astadia as one of our partners to help move the applications and data across. And then once migrated, we can be there as, we believe, a superior managed service provider for the environment that they choose to move into, with equivalent service or better.
Which is important. That's what people look for on the mainframe, and being able to work with a Kyndryl of the world where they feel very confident that they will achieve the same. That's got to be a plus for them.
Yeah, I mean, Kyndryl is there for their entire digital transformation journey, both before, during, and after. We can help them plan it, we can help them execute it, we can help them manage it on the back end in a new environment with, say, Kyndryl Bridge, which is our own AI ops based environment for managing the runtime environments that we look after for customers, irrespective of platform. We can be, it's an AI ops platform that'll support mainframe, it'll support any of the hyperscalers, etc.
Okay, perfect. I think I know the answer to this question and how you would view it. When you talk to a client, do you have a particular affinity for discussing with them that they should modernize on the mainframe versus moving to the cloud?
We don't go in with you should move everything off or you should keep everything on. We actually have as I said a couple of times here, the right platform for the right workload. So, sometimes we'll look at an application and we'll go, look, there's a lot you can actually do with this and probably need to on the mainframe. You might be running a really old version of COBOL, really old version of PL1, etc. You might be using some of the older technologies which need to be renovated. And having been, renovated, the customer is able to and wants to continue down that path. Equally, if we turn around to a customer and we say, look, this application probably really shouldn't be here anymore. We've got a way in which we can help you either move the application and the data off. Some choose to leave the data behind because the issues around data sovereignty, data governance, all those security and data privacy stuff, they feel more comfortable leaving the data on the mainframe, but maybe accessed from an application that's running on one of the hyperscalers. So it's, there's not a one size fits all here, but we very definitely do have a view with the customer as to what they should be doing with a particular application. Clearly, once we've gone in and taken a look at it and work with them on what their own strategy is and where that application placement fits within that strategy.
That makes sense. I know for me, the topic of people being receptive to moving to the cloud has changed over the years. Do you see it the same way? Do you see that organizations are today more willing to consider cloud as an alternative than they might have been in years past?
I think it changes, and this is the pendulum of technology, and it oscillates backwards and forwards here. There was a big move, I'm going to say about 4 or 5 years ago, certainly, pre-COVID, where everything was going to move off. And that's obviously, not happened because there's still a large number of mainframes out there and many people are happy with them. And the pendulum swung back to say, well, everything is going to stay on and we're going to modernize it. And that pendulum's now sort of swinging back into the middle here, which I think personally think is a more balanced approach, which is that the world is truly hybrid, and it is the hyperscalers and the mainframe are going to sit there and they're going to coexist, and it's going to be this continued story of where do my applications and data have to sit in this new world. And if I could say, history has a habit of repeating itself, and I hate to say this, but Walter, you and I are probably of the generation that can remember this. If we go back to the days of client server, everything was going to move off the mainframe then, and everything was going to go client server. Well, it didn't. All right, for whatever reason. And, I'm not saying history has repeated itself, but it's that same sort of technological evolution where things have to coexist with one another for a variety of good reasons. And, as I said, between Kyndryl and Astadia, we can help them get that balance right of where do I want to put it? Where do I want to put my data? How do I get them linked up? How do I make sure that my business continues to be 100% available once I've done this in such a way that I am now, as the customer, able to address the new digital challenges, new customer challenges that I face in my own industry?
I think that is so important what you just described. 10, 15 years ago, it was pretty straightforward for me moving people off of the mainframe. The 50 MIPS customer or the 100 MIPS customer, it made sense for them to move everything away. The organizations today realize that the business will determine where information needs to be and how it needs to be processed. And I think we both approach it the same way, that finding what's right for the customer, and it will be that hybrid. That's going to be the fun part of this area for the next multiple years, being able to see how we evolve the process to give people that flexibility to leverage where they get the most benefit in the best way possible. That's what makes this fun for me, I know.
Yep. No, it's the same for me, because some of the technology challenges haven't changed, right? There's we have to deal with the laws of physics in latency, right? I have a hyperscaler, I have a mainframe, they sit in 2 different data centers. The data I want instantaneously. Well, I'm very sorry, the laws of physics apply here. And there's only so fast, a bit can fly from this side to this side. Are there things that we can do to improve that? Undoubtedly, but at the end of the day, we still have to deal with some of those practicalities. And it's those kinds of things that make this whole transformation journey that much more fun for the likes of you and me.
Fantastic. Richard, I have a 2-part question for you. What do you believe are the main drivers for organizations today who are trying to drive their corporate IT strategy? And what are the things that you foresee in the next 5 years that will start to drive how people define that strategy?
So, from an organizational change, the biggest thing that we see customers facing with their organization, forget the cost and what have you, continues to be one of skills. Be it COBOL skills, PL1 skills, assembler skills, etc. That's where a number of customers are worried, right? Now, they also worry not only in terms of skills for them being current, but they also worry that a lot of their skills are about to retire.
Exactly.
Now Kyndryl has a very robust skilling and staffing program. So with the roughly 8,000 people that we have that do the mainframe stuff in Kyndryl, average age is sort of 30, 35-ish. It's that kind of number. So we have a relatively young team, but it's achieved because we have that robust skilling program. So customers who invest in skilling, for those who choose to stay on the platform or even move their COBOL PL1 off platform, it is possible to achieve, but it does require the customer to invest in the skills program to enable future development in that 2B state. And interestingly, I mean, I was around at the birth of Java. I now hear Java referred to as a legacy language, right? I'm not necessarily sure that the world is running out of Java skills, but nonetheless, I can see this same problem appearing on the horizon with the number of Java skills in the future. So it's really a question of investing in the people, and what is important for you as a customer in what you need to maintain your business. There are some, as we've said here, some key critical applications and data. And so, I'll pick something. If you've got critical data sitting in IMSDB, you probably want to make sure that you've got a robust program around your IMSDB programmers. So, that's going to continue for the future, and it's an area that people should focus on. And the second half of your question, I think, was around what do I see in the next sort of 5 years as making the difference. Back to the prior question we had in terms of that swinging pendulum of everybody stays on, everybody moves off. One thing we know in this industry is that technology never stands still. Certainly all of the hyperscalers continue to invest heavily in the technologies that they provide. It's fairly obvious that IBM is probably going to continue to invest in the mainframe. I mean, we've just seen what they did with the Z16 launch with the AI chip at the heart of it. Where does AI play in applications? Well, two levels. Where does AI play with applications, and where does AI play in the operations space? Is, I think, going to continue to grow over the next 5 years. We're still going to have this skills problem that I just referenced. Will it have changed dramatically? Probably not. There will clearly have been more of the folks will have retired. But then, I equally see the advancement of software technologies. Not necessarily, I'm not saying there won't be hardware advances, but certainly software advances. We'll see another new generation, a new style of business applications as we go through the digital transformation that many customers are going through. New markets are going to appear as they do that digital transformation, which will require new software capabilities, new hardware capabilities, but certainly new software capabilities for them to access that particular new business opportunity. If we look back over the last sort of 5-10 years, the advancement of mobile phone technology, the introduction of 5G, it changes the IT landscape, but it also opens up a myriad of new business opportunities. So I think the message for the likes of Kyndryl, Astadia, and the partners that we all work with is, we've got to keep our eyes wide open. We've got to continue to work together and see what's coming and try and plan for it so that we can be in a position to help the customers take that next step in their digital transformation once they've achieved what they are doing in the near term. The other thing I would say, which has started to grow in the last couple of years, and I think will take a big jump over the next 4 to 5 years, is the focus on enterprise social and governance, or ESG, as it's referred to, particularly around climate change and the impacts on IT as a result of climate change and what have you. So the ability to automate tasks become much more essential. The ability to have IT help a company achieve their social and governance goals, that's going to become a core factor in the equation over the next 3 to 5 years. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if you don't start to see some form of government legislation in some spaces around certainly the enterprise commitments around social and governance. That would be the other big area that I think we all collectively need to be able to address.
Richard, it was interesting. I was thinking as you were talking about our generation, I hate to admit, I remember the time when I used to have to dial an operator to place a call for me. And then the technology allowed me to become the operator. I could dial myself. I remember when I used to have to go into the bank every week to deposit a check or to move money around. I haven't been inside of a bank in forever. I do everything because the technology allows me to do that now. The pace at which these things change is only growing, I think. And you said something that I think was so astute. We together and in this industry have to be on the lookout for what that next thing is that's going to revolutionize the way that companies can do business and the way that IT can assist them in that. It's not going to be boring, is it, my friend?
No, I mean, life in this industry has not been boring for the last N years, we'll say. And it's certainly not going to be boring in the future. And I mean, even in recent times, we've seen a big change. With the unfortunate rise of COVID, we saw the world move to a more cashless society, and the way in which people spend their money has changed dramatically. They may be spending the same, but they're not carrying the cash around with them anymore. The tap with the iPhone or whatever in order to pay for services dramatically changed, right, over the last few years. When I go shopping now, when I go to the food store, I do my own checkout. Right?
We have become trained again via the technology.
Exactly. So I think, next 5-10 years, we're going to see more of that maybe in areas that we haven't even thought of yet.
Absolutely. That's a possibility. Richard, it looks like we are unfortunately at the end of our time. I wanted to thank you so very much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to spend this time with us today. I know the audience really appreciates your thoughts and observations and what you see for the future.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, Walter, for the invite, and look forward to carrying on the partnership here.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. And to everyone else, thank you for taking the time out of your busy Friday. We appreciate you being here today, and I hope you'll keep visiting Astadia at www.astadia.com, looking for upcoming podcast series. Thank you all so much, and have a wonderful weekend.